Larry Carrier has created one of the premier racetracks on the NASCAR circuit. His easygoing manner and business sense has made him a world-class success at the Bristol International Raceway. Here's his story.
The biggest question I have asked me is, when you built it, did you ever think it'd get this big? So it's quite evident if I thought it would have got this big, instead of putting in 19,000 seats, I'd put in 100,000. I was in the contracting business, and Carl Moore and I was looking for a place to put a racetrack. We had been to Charlotte, and we thought it would be good for us, and I could retire on it maybe. So we built the racetrack, and it was like riding a roller coaster. It was up and down, you know.
What do you remember about that first race?
I remember 30,000 people showed up for 19,000 seats, and we were selling 2 pieces of bread in a concession stand. Coca-Cola run out of Cokes, and the bread companies was going out and getting bread back in so they could take care of it. It was a mess, really. And we worked hard to keep it alive and keep it going. We had the Washington Redskins and Philadelphia Eagles down here, probably the biggest bomb to ever hit town. We was just so far ahead of our time. Back then, Washington Redskins was the hometown team, and the Philadelphia Eagles was the world champions. So I felt that's the best you could get. We lost about 30,000 on it. That's serious money back then. That's the reason we lost a partner, R.G. Pope. He said, "I'm for sale." I thought I was too. If he saw anybody, send him around. But then we bought Pope out. He just didn't want to be in it no more.
What year was that?
That was about 62 or 3. But then there come a time when Carl wanted to go in more or less in motels and some investments of his own, and he wanted to sell. So I agreed to sell, and we sold it to some people from Knoxville. Warner Hodgson come in, and he bought it. And then he asked me to run it for him. So in the process of running it for him, it was started to build back. And then his company was called Bid Rigging, and he lost everything he had. And when the track went before it into bankruptcy, I went to bankruptcy judge and asked him if I'd pay off everybody, could I have it? And he said I could if I would sell it with Warner. So I paid Warner some and went and got the money and paid off everybody and started rebuilding, and which was a dynamite job. I spent $5 million so fast that I didn't know I had it. I always thought that racing was speed, and I always thought that we needed to get a little more speed out of it. We was running 87 miles an hour, and the people coming to the racetrack was running faster than we was racing, so I wanted to see it over 100. In fact, when Fireball Roberts at Charlotte, I had breakfast with him before he got killed, or was in the wreck and later died. And I asked him, I said, you think a man could ever build a half-mile track that it would go over 100 miles an hour? He said, I don't think he could stand it. And I said, well, I'm going to try it like that, and laughed, and I wished him luck, and then, of course, he had that fatal accident. He was a real good friend of mine, and he and Curtis Turner, and they gave me a lot of ideas on the track. But when it come down to banking it, I didn't have nowhere to go, because none is banked as high as it is. And but what is exciting about this racetrack, though, with others, you're close to it. And they're coming into the turns at 142 miles an hour. And they're side by side, and you can look almost right down into the cockpit with them. And I think the people feel like they're more in the race here than they do anywhere. It's Farron Young, Skeeter Davis, Patsy Cline.
And did they sing here?
Yeah, we had them. We set up a stage over here and had them. Now down here is Brenda Lee. I got Bobby Comstock's band and brought Brenda Lee in the helicopter, and she sung, they sung "Here Comes Brenda." And this was before a race. We charged $3, had 11,000 people paid.
See, Brenda.
Probably the best profit I've made since. We had the kite man. They was pulling him around the track, and all of a sudden he takes off and he's flying around, doing a good job, and he just kept doing it. So I go over and tell the guy, so that's it. If you'll step over here, we'll pay you, and you can get on out here. He said, we got a problem. I said, what's the problem? He said, we don't know how to get him down. I said, well, what do you mean you don't know how to get him down? He said, well, if we slack off on it, he's going to hit in the crowd. Liable to knock a lot of people's heads off. I said, well, I hate to tell you, but if you don't work out a way to get him down some way, we're going to cut the rope. Of course I wouldn't, but it scared him to death. But I got down in the middle of the field and made the car go this way, pull through the pits, and he crash landed over on the back. But it didn't hurt him, but it was a whale of a chuckle. I'd like to point out that we are going to put in more seats, and we're constantly making way for more parking. And we have got a $750,000 lighting system now that we can turn on and run night racing. I've grown with the sport. I've grown with the purses, and I've done what I'm supposed to do. I've always looked at it that the fans, without them, we don't need a racetrack, we don't need a race driver. We need to give them what they want, and they're paying for all of it, and the best way to find out what they want is go sit with them. And around they'll give you can ask them questions, and they don't know who I am, and they'll tell me, I like this or don't like that. And I think it's helped us. I think it's helped us a whole lot because we try to give the fans all we can.